Over the past two NFL drafts, the New York Giants have gotten key cornerstone positions. Last year they got Daniel Jones, and the year before that they were able to secure Saquon Barkley. Can David Gettleman find another cornerstone piece in the first round in 2020? We will have to see. On this mock draft, I'm only doing the first 2 days of the draft, rounds 1 through 3, because I want to wait until all the compensation picks are done before I do a full 7-rounder, but I promise you that is coming at a later date. So for this one, let's look at the first 3 rounds of my New York Giants mock draft. Now, I'm going to also preface this by saying I don't have any trades so far. I will eventually, but the Giants do have 2 key pieces early in the second round and in the first round that could be great trade pieces to move back and acquire more draft capital. Keep in mind they don't have a 3rd-round pick for their trade with the Jets for Leonard Williams earlier this season. So without further ado, let's see what the Giants could do when they are on the clock in Vegas. With the first pick, I have them taking Jeff Okudah, the cornerback from Ohio State. Now, the Giants have one of the worst secondaries in football. While a wideout or offensive line could be enticing here in the first round, they could get arguably the second best defensive prospect in the entire draft. And given how bad the Giants secondary was last year, they could be getting a potential lockdown number 1 corner who could be great. For Ohio State, Okudah was definitely the best defensive back in football last season. Don't forget, he had 3 interceptions, 9 pass defenses, and even 2 forced fumbles. At 6'1", he's a big, tall corner and showed versatility to not only play on one side of the field, but he could shadow a number 1 receiver and even played at slot last year for the Buckeyes. While the past 2 drafts have been finding cornerstones for the offense, it's time to give this defense a cornerstone piece, and with this cornerback, the Giants could do just that. In my mock draft in round 2, I have the New York Giants selecting Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. Now, I do think the Giants should look into upgrade the offensive line, and Jackson makes a lot of sense here, partly because I do think he will be available. I do think you're going to see at least 5 offensive tackles taken in the first round, but Jackson slips through to round 2 where the Giants can pick him up at the top end of the second round. Now, the Giants could go wide receiver here, and this is a great wide receiver draft, but I want to remind people the Giants have been arguably the best team at drafting wide receivers late in the draft over the past couple of seasons, and I do think they do have a solid wide receiver core going into next season, so it's not the biggest need, but I also think with such a talented wide receiver draft, the Giants could find a great day 3 receiver who could make an impact next year. For the defensive line, while it could be enticing, don't forget the Giants have also invested a lot of draft capital already in the defensive line, with Leonard Williams trading 2 picks to the New York Jets during the regular season last year and using the 17th pick last year to get Dexter Lawrence at the nose tackle position. The Giants need to protect Daniel Jones and invest in an offensive line to not only help him, but Saquon Barkley. While Jackson could be a vital starter next year and could be a plug-and-play player at the guard position or a right tackle, I envision him being the left tackle of the future. Don't forget that Nate Solder is a big cap hit, and while cutting him this year wouldn't make a lot of sense because it would have $13 million of dead cap, next season would be more enticing. If the Giants cut Solder before the 2021 season, it would save them $14 million against only a $6.5 million cap hit. So having Jackson as a groomed-in player to take over the left tackle position makes a lot of sense. And don't forget, Dave Gettleman is an old-school football guy. He wants to build this team through the trenches, and he's already done that in the defensive line over the last year with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. It's time for him to start putting his fingerprints on the offensive line. And with a lot of the high-end tackles going in the first round, this could be the last chance to get a capable pass-blocking left tackle that could be a future cornerstone piece of your offensive line. And if Hernandez at the guard position and Jackson at the left tackle position are cornerstones for this franchise for the next 10 seasons, it will not only help the Giants win football games, but will also help speed up Daniel Jones' progression to becoming the franchise quarterback that the franchise has invested in. Do you agree with our picks, or are you interested in more great draft content? Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our great draft content as we approach the 2020 draft in Vegas. And of course, make sure to comment below on who you think the New York Giants should pick or who you would like them to pick. Do you want them to trade back out of the number 4 spot in the first round? I would love to hear your feedback because you guys help make this show. But until next time, thank you so much for joining us here today on Rich Sports Talk.